G'day, it's Aaron here, and I wanted to make this video about how we can beat inflation as carnivores. Inflation's been raging for the last couple of years. It's come down a bit recently, but 2 years ago, I'd go to the shops and I'd get out of there with a few items for, $50, $60. It seems now I can't get out of the shops for 90, 100 bucks if I'm lucky. So there's definitely a lot of cost pressures around. Since I'm on a carnivore diet, I'm going to go through how I've been saving around $100 a week on my shopping bill and beating those inflation pressures. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you the maths. Biltong. It's a great snack for carnivores to eat any time of the day. Hello. Hello, Missy. Oh, thank you. Got some water for me. My little helper here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Close the door. All right, so how have I been saving $100 a week? Well, it's to do with biltong. And generally, if you want to go buy some biltong from the shops, this is here in Australia, you'd be paying anywhere from $75 all the way through to $95 a kilo at the various South African shops. However, if you make this biltong yourself, you can get it down to around a third of the price. So step number one is go to the meat markets, the bulk meat markets, or your local butcher if that's your preference. What I do is I go there and buy either a topside or a silverside. They're the two main cuts that you make biltong from. I prefer silverside because it's a bit more fatty. In Australia, you can source that meat for around $12 to $20 a kilo maximum. And so that's going to work out to roughly $7 to $12 US per kilo. And then if you convert that into the pounds, it's around $350 to $560 US dollars per pound. Step number two, right, cut the silver side or top side into strips going with the grain. Okay, you'll cut it with the grain at this point, and then later on when you go to eat it, you're going to cut it against the grain. But for now, cut it with the grain, and you want to cut it around 1 inch thick. Yeah, you don't need to measure it, just get it rough. But that's for me roughly around the width of my thumb at the knuckle. Optional tip at this point, get the butcher to cut it for you. They're going to have all the sharp knives and all that, just so you want it cut for biltong with the grain. Step number three, you want to soak the biltong in vinegar or spray it down. I've tried both methods and I've seen both methods on the internet. So you can just spray it down with vinegar and go straight into your seasoning, or you can soak it in vinegar either overnight or just for the hour prior. The reason for that is it's going to kill off any bacteria and any mould that's on the meat, and so you want to start from a nice fresh point. In addition, it might add a little bit of flavour to the meat as well, depending on what vinegar you use, but I just want to keep it plain and simple white vinegar for me. That's a personal preference. Step number four is add the spices. Traditionally, biltong has a spice mix of salt, pepper, and coriander. That's the classic, but you can add a variety of spices depending on what your personal preference. Chili flakes might be one for you. For me, I want to move towards just using salt on my biltong because I want to go more down the carnivore diet route and have just the salt, keep it free from any of the plant and seeds, toxins and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, personal preference again, whatever you want to use. If you're using the classic spice mix, it's generally going to be a ratio of 1 part salt, 1 part pepper, 6 parts coriander seeds, just roughly crushed up. And so mix that all around and give it a good spread over the meat. You want to give it a good generous spread, rub it in a bit, and then make sure there's not too much excess on top of the meat. I've previously made that mistake, just covered the meat in way too much salt, and it just got way too salty by the end of the drying period, and I could still eat it, but it was hard to taste. Step number 5 is dry the meat. So you want to either have a biltong box, which come in a number of varieties. You've got plastic ones, good ones, stainless steel ones. I've just got a real simple plastic one. It's got a little fan at the top and an incandescent light at the bottom. I think a 60-watt incandescent light, and what that is just add a little bit of heat to the bottom to make sure the air isn't too humid. It's going to help with the drying if needed, and the fan just keeps the airflow going over the meat to ensure you don't have mould growing on the meat, and to help assist with the drying process. Okay, so stick it in the meat box, and then you're going to wait anywhere from 5 to 7 days for me, depending on the thickness of the meat, the humidity of the air you're drying in. All these factors play a role, but check it every day and see how the dryness is going. And along the way you can have a sneaky cut off of one of the thinner pieces and do some taste tests along the way. Make sure no one else knows about that. That's your secret little piece. Step number 6 is, after the 7 days or whatever it's taken to dry the meat, take it out, wrap it in some baker's paper, preferably, put it in the fridge, and yeah, eat it over the next week or however long you've got. Put it in an airtight container to stop it drying out anymore, if you can. But otherwise, yeah, just at that point in time, enjoy the cheap meat and biltong that you've made and saved a lot of money with. Okay, going over the math. So if you go get a big chunk of Silverside or topside, roughly around 6 kilos, that's going to cost you $12 per kilo. And so that's going to come to $72. Right, adding in the cost for the salt and pepper, the spices, it works out to be about $1 per kilo of meat that you rub up. So that's $6. Right, then taking into account the electricity, the power, because you've got to run the light bulb and the fan in your biltong box. So that's going to be around 100 watts in total, 60-watt incandescent bulb, 40-watt fan. That's going to equate to about $3 or $4 for the 5 days, and that's at a rate of 30 cents per kilowatt hour. And so adding all that up, that comes to about $82 to prepare 6 kilos of topside for biltong making. Now bear in mind, once it's all dry, it's only going to weigh half of that. And so the end product is going to be around 3 kilos worth of biltong. And that equates to around $27 per kilo for your homemade biltong. So in terms of savings, as I said at the start, that's about 1/3 of the cost of, your $75, your $80, your $95 biltong that you'll get from the shops. Okay, thanks for watching the video. If you've got any ways that I can improve my process, please let me know. And I hope this has been useful to the community, to everyone. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next video.